Well, welcome to Facebook Live today. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm going to be talking about how to keep going through tough times. And I'm so glad that you joined me. And honestly, I think this is a topic we can all relate to. So as you're signing in, please say hello, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching it as a recording later. So I can tell that people are joining me, but I can't tell who's here unless you say hello. So if you'd like to, please say hello. And just a request, if you think this information is helpful afterwards, please share it on your page afterwards, just so other people can learn just some tips and tools for how to keep going, especially, we especially need them when the stresses that we're going through are severe or long-term and happening, for a long time. We especially need, because we get worn down, we get exhausted, and it's hard to keep going, right? So I'm planning to go a little bit shorter than normal today because I had a really bad sleep last night, and I'm actually going to talk to you about it later, not because you need to know about my sleep habits, but because it's actually, the reason I had a bad sleep is part of the fact that I'm adjusting to some tough times. And so it's going to be part of what I talk about today. Well, I recently attended a writers' conference put on by the literary agency that represents me. And it was just a wonderful conference full of so much information, and I got to meet so many other authors, and it was just great. It was a super blessing to me. Part of that talk, they asked me if I would present an 8-minute talk on how to do Facebook Live videos, because they knew I'd been doing them, and I offered to do that because I've enjoyed so much connecting with other people through Facebook Live, especially since I'm at home most of the time because of my illness. So I was happy to do it. It was fun to do it. And I shared that I'd been able to reach a lot of people online that I normally wouldn't otherwise. And I gave them some tips to help them get started. I'm hoping that they start doing some Facebook Lives themselves. So, sorry, I just got a little message from Facebook, but I think it's fine. All right, so quite a few people came up to me afterwards to say that, they appreciated the tips on Facebook Live because, they didn't know how to do it. But what they really appreciated, many, many people actually, said that they were encouraged by the way that I just keep going and adjusting despite all the losses that I'm going through as a result of having a terminal illness. And, all the changes in my life with having to close my counseling practice and go on oxygen and really quite a few other things. So I was encouraged that they, were inspired by that. I just feel like I just keep putting one foot in front of the other. But I was glad that that was an encouragement to them. And so it actually got me thinking about this topic. How do you keep going during tough times? And so, I want you to know that this is a lesson I will be learning the rest of my life. I am by no means an expert, but I'm happy today to share some tips just that I've learned to keep going through tough times, to not give up, to not give in to all the difficulties, which is so easy to do. But I'm hoping to just share a little bit about what I've learned. I'm going to keep learning. Well, I know that we all struggle with discouragement, with being disillusioned with how our life is going sometimes, or how the world is going. We feel exhausted about what we've been through in the past, and perhaps even fears of what we'll go through in the future. So you may feel like giving up or giving in to what it is you're going through, the layers probably that you're going through. And I'm here to tell you just initially that that is so normal. It doesn't make you wrong or weak or a bad person or a bad Christian to be struggling. It actually makes you a human person who's being normally affected by the stresses and losses that you're going through. Life can be very hard at times, not always, but at times, and it's okay that you're struggling. I know that I am. So that's actually the number one tip, is that I try to tell myself the truth about why I'm struggling. It's normal for me and for you to be angry, confused, full of sorrow, disillusioned, wonder if God even knows what He's doing as we grieve and adjust to our new normal, whatever that is. For me, it's a loss of health and then, all the things that come from that. For you, it may be lots of other things. It could be the loss of a relationship, either through death or through a problem in the relationship, or the relationship isn't how you're hoping. It could be that you've moved. It could be that friendships have changed. It could be situations with children or co-workers, on and on and on. You know what they are, right? And so I want you to be thinking about that the first tip is that don't get down on yourself for struggling or for dealing with something longer than you think you should. Like, who knows that, right? And don't beat yourself up for that. So that's the first one. I try to tell myself the truth about why I'm struggling and that it's normal. Okay, tip number 2. I pour out my feelings to God. He understands and He loves you and I so much. He cares about us so much. And He cares what we're going through. I do this regularly and it helps me so much. I ask Him for guidance and direction. I'm walking a path now that I have never walked before, and He knows how to get me through it even when I don't, which is most of the time. He brings me comfort, healing, and hope and help. I get discouraged just like you do, but I pour my heart out to Him, and He wants both you and I to come to Him. So listen deep in your heart for His response. Look for the ways that He guides you and shows you the way. Read scriptures that are comforting. Listen to music that brings you encouragement and comfort. So just hang in there, but don't forget to pour your heart out to Him. Hi, Jean. The third tip is I allow myself time and grace to grieve and heal. No one's process is the same, so please do not compare yourself to someone else. Someone's grief process is going to be very different from yours because all the factors involved are different. Let's just say it's a loss of a relationship with someone through a variety of ways. It matters greatly how close you were to that person, how long the relationship was. It matters how the relationship ended. And again, I'm talking not just about a person passing away, but a relationship changing, or there being disharmony, or that relationship ends, or it's so different than you thought. But for every person, that's going to be different. It's not going to be the same. And so you need to not compare yourself to other people who are going through technically the same thing, but it's going to be a very different thing. Also, you're going through other losses in your life. You're going through adjustments. Like I said, it could be a relationship. It could be a job has changed. Your health has changed. Actually, I want to say something about job. Maybe you have the same job, but now you have a different boss, or you have a different coworker, or your favorite compadre, got a different job or retired. It's changed. It's not the same, okay? Your health could change. A dream of yours, maybe you realize isn't going to happen or won't happen when you want it to. Maybe you had financial security and you don't now. And just in general, maybe you're realizing that the way that you thought things would be aren't. So just realize that you need to give yourself time to grieve and to heal. And again, it's going to be different for everyone. We cannot compare. So for instance, what I'm going through right now with my health, it's a continual grief process. And it will be until I go home to be with the Lord. Because the illness that I have, pulmonary fibrosis, is an ongoing change in my lungs. And so that results in an ongoing change in my ability to do things, to be independent. And so, for instance, I'll give you an example. And this is actually related to why I had a bad sleep last night. In order for me to go to the writer's retreat that I went to, I had to bring someone with me to help, which was wonderful that that person did that for me. She wheeled me around. She got me the things I needed. She was just with me the whole time. And had I not had her there, I wouldn't be able to have gone. Now, I walk fine. I don't need a wheelchair in regular life. But this writer's retreat is at a beautiful place. And it was at a large hotel. And there was just no way that I could walk that far. And so I had to have someone there to wheel me to all events and things like that. I also had to have, I'll put a picture later because you won't even believe it, but I had to bring 3 different kinds of oxygen equipment with me. I had to bring the kind I use in the hotel. It's huge. I had to bring a portable kind where the oxygen level goes higher. I had to bring a backup in case that one ran out. The whole back seat of the car was full of oxygen equipment and a wheelchair. And I'm so grateful to have gone. I'm just so glad. I had a wonderful experience there. God blessed me in ways I couldn't even imagine. But I got to tell you, it was exhausting. And several times, I just would say, this is too much trouble. It's too much, and I'm too much trouble. And it was hard to face that. Now I'm going to get all teary, but it's hard to face that I was not as independent as I'd like to be. And that, I don't know, 6 months ago I wouldn't have had to have somebody wheel me around. So I'm in the middle of that tough time, okay? I'm in the middle of learning ways to keep going when discouraged. And in fact, I had a nightmare last night. That's why I had a bad sleep. And my nightmare was about being in a situation where I couldn't get around by myself, and it was a dangerous situation. And I was calling for help because I couldn't help myself. And so that's not actually true right now, but obviously my psyche is such that I'm aware that this phase will come in the future sometime. And so I'm giving myself time to grieve and adjust. And so I want you to give yourself that time too, because we all need it. So that was number 3. That was a hard one. Okay, that was the hardest one. I have to use a little Kleenex. I brought Kleenex today. But I wanted to just be real with you and not just tell you, oh yeah, I'm all done with that. It's like, for me, the illness that I have, it's ongoing. It just kind of hit me out of the blue. I didn't really realize that I would feel that way. But I had a wonderful time, and I'm so glad I went. But there was this aspect of facing reality, another piece of reality that I haven't had before. All right, number 4. There's 5 of them, okay? Number 4. I continue to hold on to things loosely. Okay, if you think about if you hold on to something really tight and you won't let it go, you're going to struggle. I've learned to hold on to things loosely. And that's easy to say, I know. It's not easy to do. And it's a process. So I thought of an example that I was able to do a lot and express the gifts God's given me for 30 years through counseling and teaching and public speaking, and I had so much joy being an influence in people's lives in that way. But I've had to let that go in that way, okay? As you know, here I am on Facebook Live, so I'm still able to do it this way. And I've written a book and do a blog and do a CD. And I mean, I have lots of ways that I'm able to still be a positive influence in people's lives. But they've changed from the ways that I was doing and the ways that I love. And so I'm grateful to have been able to do that for so long. Like I say to myself, how many people get to do a job or, operate in their gifts for 30 years that they love? That's pretty rare. And so I'm grateful for how long I was able to do that. But I've had to hold that loosely because I have been able to do everything up until 3 years ago when I got breast cancer and then pulmonary fibrosis. So it's really hard. It's a hard adjustment, but I'm learning to hold on to things loosely, and this helps me adjust. Okay, number 5. This is an important one. Well, they're all important, but I try to focus on the good that I have now. In reality, you and I only have now. Let that sink in. In reality, you and I only have now. So I do allow myself to grieve over what I've lost in the past. I'm very real about it, but I try to not set up camp there, thinking about it and going over it, because focusing on that will steal what I have now. I don't want to give up what I have now. I'm also aware of, and I talk to God frequently about my fears for the future, but I try to not set up camp there either, because focusing on that, the fear of the future, will steal what I have now. And I don't want that to happen. So I trust that God will guide me and direct me just like He has every step of the way with whatever lies ahead. And He and I will deal with it as it happens. So there's more that I actually want to share with you in the future on how to still have hope when life falls apart in your life or when things are different than you thought. But I'm still trying to get that into words, and I'm a little bit tired because of my terrible sleep. So I'm going to share that with you another time, probably the next time. So I hope today's been helpful and encouraging to you. I hope that, not everything I shared will apply to you, but I'm hoping there's one or two nuggets that was helpful to you personally. That's what I want. And so please leave a comment below about what was helpful to you. And I would love it, honestly, if you would share, if you feel comfortable, sharing ways that have helped you to keep going through tough times, because we as a community have so much to learn from one another. So for more information, you can visit my website, which is kimfredrickson.com, to learn about my blog, my book, CD, and for instance, yesterday on my blog, I shared a blog post from a friend of mine that I've made as an author, Georgia Schaffer, who shared about losing spiritual footing from some health crisis she went in, and it was so good that I asked her, could I please share it on my blog? So if you go to kimfredrickson.com and click blog, you'll see it right at the top, and it was so encouraging what she shared. So I just wasn't planning to say that, but it just came to me. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm not going to be back next week, but I'll be back in 2 weeks for another Facebook Live. So you take good care, and I'm seeing some very nice, lovely, encouraging comments to me today. So I appreciate it as I'm going through transitions, and I'm going to pay attention to everything that I said to keep going, all right? You don't have to worry about that. But I just hope that what I shared will be a blessing to you as well. All right, so you take care. Have a good weekend, and I will talk to you again soon. All righty, bye.